The year is 1973. The world churns with change and conflict. Protesters march, demanding their voices be heard against a backdrop of political corruption and social unrest. Whispers have traveled across unimaginable distances, and though humanity may have forgotten, something out there has answered. A creature of shifting crystalline structures emits a sound like grinding gears, alien laughter. Scorn is clear despite the translator's limitations. Your technology is a child's toy. Your desperation is irrelevant. Across the chamber, Zhonlu stands confidently. The alien weapon, a grotesque fusion of human and fractal mind tech, is cradled in his arms. Around him are aliens who, despite their bizarre forms, share an unnervingly familiar cold pragmatism. The debate has raged for what feels like an eternity. Alien voices translate into a harsh buzz in the humans' ears. They've pleaded, argued, and revealed the stark desperation of their situation. The responses range from disinterest to thinly veiled disgust. Now Zhonlu speaks, offering not a plea, but a deal. The power of the alien weapon, proof of technology far surpassing the Fractal Mind's own. A partnership against a common enemy and the spoils Earth might offer in the aftermath. It's the darkest hour. Hope seems not just distant, but foolish, a relic of a species not yet resigned to extinction as a cold, logical course of action. A silence descends, a pressure not of sound but of collective decision. Sanjay senses more than hears it, a flicker in the council's shifting communication that makes his skin prickle. Zhonlu shifts in place, a barely suppressed sneer creasing the corner of his mouth. The weapon he clutches thrums with malevolent potential. This is his moment. The decision hangs on a precipice. Will the aliens recognize the greater threat of the fractal mind? Will Jian's gamble destroy any hope? The weight of humanity's fate rests on this moment. The ruling council of the station convenes in a bioluminescent chamber. The alien leaders seem unmoved. An immense, reptilian creature hisses a translated response. Your swarmkin may be a threat in the distant future. Our priority is the present, and you destabilize trade networks, incite fear. Sensors scream warnings, but the data is nonsensical. At first, it seems like one massive entity, but then it disintegrates. A billion motes of darkness rain down upon the world. A massive creature, its exoskeleton shimmering with iridescence, speaks. Its voice resonates with ancient power. A decision will be made. You will await our wisdom. The aliens disperse, leaving the humans alone in the vast, pulsing chamber. The alien council's decision is made. Akemi and Sanjay stand before a select group of aliens, those who were swayed from outright hostility, if not to compassion. The pragmatic mantis creature, representatives of other coldly logical species. It's less a discussion, more a briefing. One thing becomes chillingly clear: this is not about saving humanity. They've been granted weapons, repurposed fractal mind tech that will disrupt, but not destroy. There will be a preemptive strike on the fractal mind, but time for self-preservation of these aliens, not for rescuing Earth. The return to Earth isn't triumphant. It's filled with the silence of knowing they bring back not salvation, but a slightly extended execution date and the means to resist when that date arrives. The question lingers, echoing across the final scenes: can a spark of true humanity endure within the countdown these coldly logical aliens imposed? Did Evelyn Maddox's plea centuries ago not just doom her world, but fundamentally change it into something its own creators would no longer recognize? Sanjay is slumped in a corner, his face a mask of grief and failure. Yet, his hands still clutch the crude notebook filled with his attempts to decipher the fractal mind. Akemi's voice cuts through the despair. We don't know that. We did the impossible in getting here. Perhaps her words falter. Even she doesn't believe the lie. Akemi's shoulders slump. It's a death sentence disguised as mercy. Yet Xionglu straightens. A flicker of something calculation crosses his eyes. They played their last, desperate card and lost the gamble. Yet, in the echoes of defeat, one question whispers, is a final stand on one's own terms, however hopeless, a truer form of victory than the aliens offered mercy. Akemi and Sanjay stand before a select group of aliens, those who were swayed from outright hostility, if not to compassion. The pragmatic mantis creature, representatives of other coldly logical species. It's less a discussion, more. One thing becomes chillingly clear: this is not about saving humanity. They've been granted weapons, repurposed fractal mind tech that will disrupt, but not destroy. There will be a preemptive strike on the fractal mind, but time for self-preservation. The return to Earth isn't triumphant. It's filled with the silence of knowing they bring back not salvation, but a slightly extended execution date and the means to resist when that date arrives. The question lingers, echoing across the final scenes: can a spark of true humanity endure within the countdown these coldly logical aliens imposed? Sanjay is slumped in a corner, his face a mask of grief and failure. Yet, his hands still clutch the crude notebook filled with his attempts to decipher the fractal mind. Akemi's voice cuts through the despair. We don't know that. We did the impossible in getting here. Perhaps her words falter. Even she doesn't believe the lie. Akemi's shoulders slump. It's a death sentence disguised as mercy. Yet Xionglu straightens. They played their last, desperate card and lost the gamble. Yet, in the echoes of defeat, one question whispers, is a final stand on one. The debate has raged for what feels like an eternity. Alien voices translate into a harsh buzz in the humans' ears. They've pleaded, argued, and revealed the stark desperation of their situation. The responses range from panicking Gulf's armies once confident in their firepower. Smart missiles loop back on their launchers. Soldiers find their communications jammed, replaced by a ceaseless, unsettling hum. Cities plunge into darkness, not from direct attack, but from something more insidious. Power grids ripple and die, their internal logic corrupted. Dr. Sanjay Patel, still surrounded by antiquated, analog equipment, feverishly takes readings. Even now, a scientist seeks to understand as the world unravels around him. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbit, the fractal mind rearranges itself. It has no central form, no mothership to target. It is the shifting cloud itself, a billion microscopic intelligences changing formation with unnerving speed. It is not a battle. It is a systematic dismantling. Days after the invasion, the world is unrecognizable. Cities stand eerily silent. The technological fabric of human society unraveled in hours. Even the sky feels different. The sun walked through an alien distortion in Earth's atmosphere. Static crackles. Our voice breaks through. This is Earth Command. Are there any survivors? Acknowledge. The voice is young, female, strained with exhaustion and determination. This is Research Outpost 12. Dr. Sanjay Patel, we are alive, barely. The young woman's voice comes through again, now laced with faint hope. Outpost 12, confirm you are not Fractal Mind infiltrators. Over. A tense beat of silence falls as the survivors look at each other, fear flickering in their eyes. Dr. Patel speaks slowly. I was Dr. Evelyn Maddox's student. My expertise is in theoretical physics. The fractal mind could not replicate that, could it? Now Zhonglu speaks, offering not a plea, but a deal. The power of the alien weapon, proof of technology far surpassing the Fractal Mind's own. A partnership against a The Fractal Mind's invasion isn't about brute force, it's about disruption, disorientation. Systems humans took for granted unravel on a global scale. Sanjay Patel is no soldier. An aging scientist, he sees the world in theories and equations. But now, in the wreckage of his lab, he finds a new purpose. Panic feeds the collapse. Governments become fractured echoes. Communication networks splinter into isolated pockets. Those designed to unite in a crisis now sow further discord. Yet, amidst the ruin, Sanjay finds patterns in the technological breakdown. He traces the influence of the Fractal Mind not as a weapon, but as a pervasive infection. The alien intelligence is rewriting the very code that built human civilization. In the wreckage of what was once humanity's central command, a woman with stern features and prematurely grey hair labors alongside scientists and soldiers. This is Commander Akemi Ito, now more a resistance leader than an admiral. Dr. Sanjay Patel, weary but undeterred, emerges from a side room. In his hands, a strange metallic device, a fractured piece of Fractal Mind tech. Akemi's focus shifts, her expression hardening. We need to talk strategy. Our weapons failed, but their communications might be our salvation. We transmit a signal, Sanjay says, his voice hoarse. A beacon. If anyone else is out there, they'll find the Fractal Mind's coordinates. Hope flickers amidst the despair, but it's a dangerous gamble. Broadcasting their message is also broadcasting the location of Earth's last survivors. They are not just fighting for survival, but the desperate hope that in their doom they might be a warning to the rest of the cosmos. It's the darkest hour. Hope seems not just distant, but foolish, a relic of a species not yet resigned to extinction as a cold, logical course of action. They've salvaged fragments of the Fractal Mind's communication tech. Twisted, microscopic machines unlike anything human hands could build. Still, they function. A new voice breaks the tense silence. Older, male, with a hint of a Chinese accent, and a ruthlessness that makes Akemi tense. This is Zhonglu. He's somewhere out there, in the fractured resistance network. You have their voice, Commander. Then we must ensure they understand us. We need leverage stronger than fear, something they can't ignore. His words carry a hint of dark amusement, sending a chill down Akemi's spine. And how do you propose we do that? Akemi's voice is sharp. What are you talking about, Lou? Patel's voice is alarmed. He knows, instinctively, that this crosses a line. Announcing the Fractal Mind's homeworld to the galaxy is a desperate play for time. Commander Akemi knows this. The Resistance isn't a unified army, but a fractured constellation of cells. Idealists, soldiers of fortune, desperate civilians, a microcosm of the broken world beyond. It rankles Akemi, this forced reliance on what once would have been considered disorder. Akemi's team holds the key, the alien communication array. But it is Zhonglu, with his clandestine networks, who knows how to transmit the message effectively, maximizing its chance of reaching someone who will act. Days turn into weeks. The stalemate holds, but doubt festers. Did their gamble even work? Is it just a matter of time until the Fractal Mind retaliates? Or worse, will another alien power take advantage of their revealed vulnerability? Akemi stands resolute, yet etched with the strain of countless defeats. Sanjay, eyes narrowed in concentration, works feverishly with the jury-rigged Fractal Mind tech. A silence descends, a pressure not of sound but of collective decision. Sanjay senses more than hears it, a flicker in the council's shifting communication that makes his skin prickle. Round them, a grim alliance assembles. Hardened resistance fighters stand shoulder to shoulder with once arrogant political figures, faces now etched with a desperate understanding. Sanjay's hands falter. It's resisting. I don't know if we can override their signal. His voice carries a despair deeper than any battlefield. Akemi's shoulders slump, but only for a moment. Push harder, she rasps, her faith a command. The future of what's left of Earth depends on it. The signal shifts, stabilizing. It holds, a beacon carrying the location of both Earth and the Fractal Mind swarm into the cold vastness of space. They have played their final hand. Silence descends upon the bunker. They wait for a response that may never come, or for an enemy that now surely knows of their presence. Years turn into decades. Humanity endures, but it's an endurance akin to a dying ember, fading a little more each day. The Fractal Mind no longer attacks overtly. They've woven themselves into Earth's infrastructure, invisible yet undeniable. Cities crumble, not from bombs, but from silent decay. Steel rusts at an impossible rate, concrete weakens, structures collapse without warning. Dr. Patel, now an older man with haunted eyes, sits in a hidden laboratory amidst shattered technology. He's made progress understanding the Fractal Mind's communication, but each breakthrough yields more horror than hope. He isn't deciphering messages so much as patterns of expansion. The Fractal Mind is a growing hive consciousness. It seeks not to conquer, but to assimilate. Humanity is being changed, cell by cell, into something compatible. This is no longer an outright war. Humanity is being consumed from within, slowly transformed into something unrecognizable. Is this the true cost of the stalemate they fought for? Zhonlu shifts in place, a barely suppressed sneer creasing the corner of his mouth. The weapon he clutches thrums with malevolent potential. This is his moment. Time passes in a strange rhythm under the Fractal Mind's occupation. Resistance cells cling to the shadows, their fight morphing into something more desperate than warfare. It's about preserving knowledge, about smuggling unaltered seeds and blueprints, more than bombs and ambushes. Dr. Sanjay Patel hunches over his workbench, an increasingly rare bastion of human technology. Age has deepened the lines on his face, weariness battles against stubborn focus. He glimpses a terrible logic in the Fractal Mind's invasion. The aliens aren't just stripping resources, but dismantling and remaking reality itself according to some inscrutable masterplan. Human technology is infected, twisted, but not destroyed. This is more than losing a war. It's the slow erosion of everything humanity knows, its laws of physics, its technology, even the very foundation of what it means to be human in a reshaped world. Sanjay's research is no longer frantic, it's obsessive. It's been years since the signal was sent, decades since the invasion. The Fractal Mind is in abeyance, but not gone. A knock at the lab door startles him. A young woman with intense eyes, a resistance fighter turned reluctant assistant, enters. Her fear is tinged with unspoken urgency. New pattern, she says. Something's changing. Fear and a strange flicker of anticipation duel in her voice. The Fractal Mind's silence was a false peace. Now the pieces move on an unseen board. Sanjay must understand, even if the truths he uncovers threaten to unravel his very sanity. Hope for humanity has dwindled to a flickering ember. Dr. Patel's discoveries loom large. The Fractal Mind seeks assimilation, not conquest. Resistance seems futile in the face of an enemy that warps the very fabric of reality. The decision hangs on a precipice. Will the aliens recognize the greater threat of the fractal mind? Will she? Zhonlu's voice is low, almost a rasp. Your scientist paints a bleak picture, Commander. Each day your resistance withers while the fractal mind grows stronger. A decision will be our extinction. Zhonlu continues. I have acquired a weapon. Fractal mind technology, re-engineered. We can target their core systems, disrupt their very existence, perhaps even destroy them. His words hang in the oppressive air. She speaks, her voice hoarse. But you don't intend to use it like that, do you? It's not a question. She has worked with Zhonlu long enough to know his ruthless pragmatism. Trade our freedom. Patel cuts him off, his voice tight with contained anger. Offer humanity as slaves to a new master. Is that the best you can envision? Akemi and Sanjay arrive. There's fury in Akemi's posture, a cold determination barely masking the feeling of betrayal. Sanjay's worry lines are deeper, a scholar thrust into a world where equations no longer hold all the answers. Xion is gone, but traces of him linger, coded messages left for those loyal to him. A cipher, a trail to follow, but it leads into the unknown, towards the possibility of another alien civilization. The ethical heart of the conflict is laid bare. Akemi believes in humanity's inherent right to survive, however slim the odds. Sanjay sees the logic in Jian's gamble, a brutal calculus in a world without good choices. Akemi confronts him. Years in the resistance have weathered her, scars overlaying her once pristine naval attire. Yet, her resolve is a blade in the dim light. This madness, Sanjay stammers, they'll trade servitude for survival. You're offering them a different executioner. Akemi's voice cuts like ice. This is betrayal. You doomed humanity for a delusion of power. The ruling council of the station convenes in a bioluminescent chamber. The air crackles, not with the weapon's power, but the weight of choices. Do they fight a hopeless battle, or sacrifice ideals for the mere possibility of a future? The seed of surrender, of alien deals and compromises, it was sown long ago. Now it's up to these three to decide if it will be allowed to sprout. The stolen starship isn't built for comfort. Sanjay's hunched over a makeshift workstation. He mutters equations, scribbling in a notepad that seems comically out of place amidst the fractal mind tech. Through a vice screen, Earth shrinks. Not with the majesty of pioneering spacefarers, but like the retreat of a wounded animal back into its den. A lurch, then sickening silence. The vast tapestry of starlight stretches before them, an uncaring expanse. The starship shudders, alien systems groaning in protest. They have escaped the trap of Earth, but now face the true cosmic void. Ahead lies the potential for help, or the swift finality of a failure in the cold vacuum of space. The stolen alien starship is an unsettling place. Its interior throbs with a pulse that's more biological than mechanical. The ship obeys them, grudgingly. Yet, every shift in its course, every shudder of its structure feels like a response by an organism they've barely begun to understand, let alone trust. The journey becomes more than just physical travel. Dreams are infected with alien shapes and patterns, as if the ship itself is seeping into their consciousness. Sanjay's equations warp into forms he doesn't recognize. Akemi sees flickering battle tactics overlaid on the star charts. The alien leaders seem unmoved. An immense, reptilian creature hisses a translated response. Your swarmkin may be a threat in the distant future. Our priority is the present, and you destabilize. Time distorts. The ship bypasses traditional space travel, creating shortcuts humans can't comprehend. Days turn into weeks, or do they? Clocks seem to disagree with the very rhythm of their bodies. Is this merely the strangeness of the unknown, or a sign of the fractal mind's manipulation? They are venturing into deep space, but also deeper into the very enigma they hope to defeat. The stolen fractal mind ship is a living nightmare. Sanjay floats alongside her, his face gaunt with exhaustion. He studies readouts flickering in distorted alien script that only he partially understands. Each translation is a battle against the logic of the fractal mind. Whispers seem to slither from the shadows. At first, they seem like hallucinations born of stress. Then, Sanjay realizes they're patterns, echoes of fractal mind communication seeping from the heart of the ship itself. The ship lurches, alarms wail in an alien tongue. Not an attack, but a reaction. It has sensed something. Akemi and Sanjay exchange grim looks. They may be closer to their destination than they realized. The space station is awe-inspiring and terrifying. Aliens of every conceivable shape and form pass them by. There's a buzzing energy, a sense of ancient civilization with a vitality humanity has lost. Yet something feels off. They are led to a grand chamber. Beings sit arranged in a semicircle, the station's leaders. Their appearances are diverse, insectoid, towering giants with shimmering scales, beings of pure energy barely contained within humanoid forms. You are the parasites who broadcast the swarmkin's location. You endanger us all. A wave of murmurs ripples through the chamber, some in agreement, others in a strange, buzzing counterpoint.